And we wish them well with that next week. Now, a couple of weeks ago, if you were watching, you'll know anyway, that the country marked the 80th anniversary of VJ Day and the end of the Second World War. Well, after that, David Catherall got in touch with us from Bolton to share his father's story. Stanley Catherall was taken captive by the Japanese and held as a prisoner of war. He never spoke about his experiences, but his family later discovered the diary that Stanley had kept during his time in captivity. You might find some of Phil Cunliffe's report upsetting.
Tuesday the 3rd, another man died this morning, a Yank. Carrying water today, dug grave for burial. Wednesday the 4th, another man died this morning, buried him tonight.
A day-by-day account of life in a Japanese prison camp. Stanley Catherall was a sergeant in the Loyal Regiment based in Preston. He was taken when Britain surrendered Singapore to Japan in 1942. His days in captivity were mostly spent in modern-day Taiwan. Without his diary, the words inscribed softly in pencil, he would have kept it all to himself.
He only spoke about it once, and that was when I was 15 or 16 years old. We'd had a particularly good meal, and he sat back in his chair, patted his stomach, and he said, "A few years ago, I'd have sold my soul to the devil for a meal like that."
POWs were told by the British government never to speak of their experience when they got home. Stanley certainly didn't. After he died, David turned to relatives to try and fill gaps in his knowledge.
I've spoken to his younger sister. "Tell me about my father when he came back, because I know nothing." She saw my father taking scraps off other people's plates and stuffing them in his pocket. Psychologically and physically, he was wrecked for years. Wednesday the 5th of July, still in dock. He was very ill, very ill.
In the diary, your father talks about receiving the slap from Japanese soldiers, which was a form of punishment. It sounded horrendous.
A slap was a full-blown, all the weight behind it, smack across the face, which would knock you to the floor. If you didn't fall to the floor, then you got the backhand as well, and that could put you in hospital.
In August 1945, Japan surrendered. Stanley and other POWs were freed. But for many, the horrors stayed with them.
We commemorate the anniversaries of VJ Day, and it's right that we should do that. We don't remember those that survived and came back, and yet were traumatized physically and mentally for the remainder of their lives. Well, certainly my father died some 15 years before his brothers and sisters, so that gives you some indication of how his life was shortened. Wednesday the 22nd, told officers officially that, in capital letters, war is over. Gosh, what a feeling.
Phil Cunliffe, BBC North West Tonight, Lancashire.
Some really poignant recollections. Thank you to David for sharing his family story and sharing the story of his father, Stanley. Interestingly, in the